And you're in.
Hello, everyone, and I will welcome to this new edition of A Message of Hope. And today I have the pleasure to be with Simon Benn, who joins us from the northern UK, northern England. I should say instead of UK, maybe. Welcome, Simon.
Thank you, Martin. It's a delight to be here. A delight to be here as an antidote to all this worry that we're being constantly peddled in the media.
Yeah, I imagine that in the UK, same thing as Canada. Same, pretty much the same message.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't know. It's bad. I don't know how bad the media is in Canada, but the media here in the UK is terrible. Yeah, very terrible.
So I will ask you the infamous question, and it is all having this understanding. How does that help you navigate whatever events or circumstances or COVID? How does that help you having that knowledge?
Just makes life a bit easier, really. You know. So uh, it doesn't mean that I don't rant about stuff, but it means I catch myself. I catch myself when I'm ranting. So I can rant about Boris, our Prime Minister, but then, yeah, I realised that ranting isn't going to do any good, really, you know, and worrying. I think that's the big thing for me. So I see all this worrying, and people ask me how I'm doing, and I say, I'm doing great. And then I say, or I say, people ask me how I'm doing, and I say, don't tell anybody. And they go, what? I said, don't tell anybody, because worrying and moaning and bitching about it, that's going to make the situation better, isn't it?
Mm.
And they look at me like I'm a nutter, and in a way, I guess I am. I said, I'm doing great, thank you. Yeah, I'm great. I'm healthy. My family's healthy. Obviously, it's been a terrible time for a lot of people. I've been very lucky, but I don't see any point, and I don't really see any point in worrying about it. And then people will often say to me, well, not often. I don't always go into that sort of detail, but people will say, "Oh yeah, yeah, I can see the point." And then about 2 seconds later, they come back to me with a bad news story about COVID, because their intellect has kicked back in, and they have reminded themselves of a thought has reminded themselves of the reason that they've got to be upset about what's gone on, and yeah, being upset doesn't change anything.
Mm. Funny you say that. I was a few months ago. I was talking to other 3P people, and it was almost like we were all doing fine, and it was like almost like a guilt trip in feeling fine because everybody around us, the message was like you said, worry and fear, and we were fine. And there was, oh, we have to whisper it now, almost like it was a guilty. Yeah, almost I was feeling
Yeah,
guilty of feeling fine, almost.
yeah, that's exactly. We're on the same lines. I did have uh, I did have a meltdown. I did have a COVID meltdown last March. So I used to work in the kitchen. I used to have my computer in the kitchen, and um, uh, I was trying to do something that required me to really concentrate, and I needed to concentrate. And it was a job that I really didn't want to do, but I had to do it, and it was going to take me all day to do it. I was thinking it would take me all day to do it. I was trying to concentrate very hard, and my wife was in the on the sofa on the couch in the corner of the kitchen watching Boris droning on about COVID, and I got more and more wound up, more and more agitated about this, and then I blew my top. I said something stupid to my wife and went off. I took myself off in a strop, so I didn't do any more harm, and walked the dog. And about about half. It's about a 4-mile walk, and about halfway around the walk, I realised that I needed to buy a new desk and move into a different room, and then I would have some peace and quiet. And wouldn't. I came back and I apologised to my wife for being an idiot and being grumpy with her. So yeah, that apart from that, I've been okay. But yeah, so 3P stuff and other stuff I've done in this consciousness space means that I kind of bounce back. I react less, but doesn't mean that I don't react at all.
We're still human.
Still human.
We're still human, even though we know where our experience is coming from. We're still human beings. We don't turn into Mr. Spock.
No, but we're human. We're spiritual beings having a human experience.
And we have to feel it all. That was, I think, it's part of the gig.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes that hurts. What do they say? It's a contact sport. So yeah, I yesterday had my wife had some directions. We were going out for lunch, and we had some we had some directions. She said, "Oh, come off at this junction off the motorway," and I didn't know where we were going, and I assumed that the directions were right, and I said, "Well, this isn't right," and then she's trying to get me to read the phone with the Google directions on. I'm not doing that. So then I pulled over into the lay-by. I put the address into the sat nav, and off we went. But I didn't. I just didn't say anything. Didn't get angry, or I was angry. I didn't say anything. I was angry at myself. I thought, why didn't I just put it into the sat nav before? Why didn't I put the restaurant address into the sat nav before? I would have saved myself that pen. But it went, So I guess I bounced back quicker.
I think that's the beauty of it, is that we don't bounce back. We bounce back quicker, or we don't get caught up as often either.
Yeah, I fall over less. And when I do, I bounce back quicker, probably would be my summary of it. Yeah.
Which is hopeful for people watching. No, we don't have to stay stuck in our thinking, knowing that's only our thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard something really. I was listening to a 3P's podcast today. It was Amy Johnson. Is it Amy Johnson?
Yes, it is Amy Johnson. Yeah.
Amy Johnson, yeah. So she was talking about beyond psychology. And I thought, yeah, that's a great way. That's where the hope is, isn't it? The hope is beyond psychology. And we've all seen that. We've all felt that hope. Even if it's just when we've like a sunrise has taken our breath away and stopped us thinking. Or like I get this sometimes when I get into bed and I just kind of snuggle up under the covers, and I feel just a sense of peace and relief. And that's for me, that's beyond psychology, but in a little micro, in a moment, like a micro example of it. And that's the light at the end of the tunnel, and everybody knows that. And so however much darkness we're going through, we've all at one point or other seen that light of hope. We might not have known what it was, but we felt it. And I guess so I'm trying to take everybody back to that moment to see that they've seen hope before. It's not a new thing to them, but they've seen hope before, but maybe they haven't realized it. Maybe they haven't recognized it as hope because it's been a fleeting moment. And everything else is going to rat doo-doo in the world. You know, the positive stories do not sell newspapers. Positive stories are not good clickbait on the internet. They're full of, you know, when I look at those kind of self-help stories and lists of 10 things to do that are supposedly also, what did I hear? Yeah, they just send us into our psychology more. How am I going to do that? And what? Well, that's not, you know, you've got a 1,000-page article, and it's just got more and more and more and more for you to think about, more to worry about. And so I heard something last week on this. I saw a headline, and it was how to cope with re-entry anxiety. Mm-hmm. So this is the anxiety to do with the end of COVID. So people are creating these headlines and they're making up this stuff. So now we've got to worry about COVID lifting. And it's like the trauma ice ball. The trauma snowball is just being picked up. It's being patted into a ball, and it's being rolled. And it's being rolled along the snow, the snow on the ground to make the base of the snowman, snow woman, snow person, gender neutral snow identity thing. You know, it's all being everything's about trying to draw us in. All the media is about to draw us in with complexity, negativity, worry, fear. And it just stirs the thought up. It's, you know, like
media, especially I see it more because I'm in Canada with French and English. It's a bit stronger in the French media than even in English media, but this fear, anxiety, and people are depressed and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, if we look through history, now there was plague twice. There was war, no, and people bounce back, no. They didn't have the internet telling them that they should be stressed or they will be recovery stress. And people, no, humanity still survived. It's still fine.
Yeah. Here's the truth, right? I don't know if you've seen this. I saw a video about this was not George Pransky. It was one of the older guys in the community.
Chip Chipman or Dickon Bettinger?
His name escapes me at the moment. Sorry?
Jack Prinsky?
No. It'll come back to me in a minute. Okay. Bill Pettit. Okay. Bill Pettit. So Bill Pettit was talking about PTSD and explaining some statistics about the percentage of the people that go through a traumatic stress event that go on to suffer from PTSD. So do you want to take a guess up? Have you seen that video?
No, but I'm trained in eye movement and stuff like that, so it's part of our training.
So what percentage of...
I think it's just 10%, if I remember right.
Yeah. So depending on whose statistics you look at, it's between 10 to 20%. 10 to 20%. It said something like 70% of people, I don't know, 10 to 20%, 10 to 20% of people that go through a traumatic stress event get PTSD. So that means that 80 to 90% don't. Now, can you imagine a web page that says 80 to 90% of people going through traumatic stress events don't get PTSD? It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen, would it? We cannot imagine that as a headline. But there's the hope. There is the hope. 80 to 90% going through PTSD, going through TS, don't get PTSD. So what's going on? What is going on? You know, people talk about what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Like it's going to the gym makes us stronger. But what we're talking about here is innate mental health.
And it's the story we tell ourselves. I remember Jamie Smart telling this story from somebody else. I don't know who the somebody else is. And it was a 3P person in New York. And he had a client who had PTSD. And hear the story. There was this one guy who got stabbed. And he went to the hospital, patched him up, and he was fine. He says, well, I was wrong time, wrong place. No, I lived my life without any incidents. The rest of my life will be without incidents. He was fine. His brother, who was not even there when the stabbing happened, has PTSD just from hearing the story of his brother.
Wow.
And he made all kinds of stories more likely about the world not being safe. So it's not even having an event. It's all the story, or people say, oh, you must be so traumatized. And yeah, so I think it's the story we tell.
Yeah. So I fell for that, being adopted. Yeah. So I didn't have any adoption trauma until I was 40, and then I started believing the rubbish in my head. Then I started reading a book, and then I read a book, and it's called The Primal Wound. Well, what was wounded by adoption? What was wounded? Didn't wound my body. It hurt my feelings. It hurt my ego. How dare she? You know? And that came out of the blue. That I thought I'd never. And that's, you know, that's what I did with it. I inadvertently, innocently, stupidly, because I didn't know any better, I started. That's where I came up with the snowball metaphor. I was rolling that snowball up. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I do now. Is I share that story. I don't share it quite as simply as I share it obviously in a different way for people that don't understand and haven't had any 3P stuff. But yeah, yeah. So we need to get out the industrial heating, the industrial heater, and bring that to the snowball of adoption trauma. And then it melts and it becomes a puddle, and then the puddle evaporates and you realize there was nothing there.
I know you're writing a book about the subject, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I've had a couple of goes at writing it. I had 5 goes at writing it. But I've decided that I was on a course, and I was on one of Michael's courses, and somebody asked me about this, about writing, about the book, and I realised that I actually prefer talking to writing. So I'm concentrating on talking to people at the moment, and the book will come a bit later, I think.
Well, we'll wish you luck.
Thank you.
And thank you, Simon, for agreeing to talk, sharing your experience today. And if people want to work with you, where can they find you?
Okay, so they can find me at thrivingadoptees.com. THR. Are you going to put a...
I will write it down on the
Okay,
on the,
yeah.
on the thing.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. I mean, it's been a delight. It's been a bit of a delight. And, you know, when I got that message from you saying, let's counter this negativity in the media, I'm like, yes, I'm there. I'm there. There's far too much worry and scaremongering. And, it seems to be getting worse and worse and worse, but the media have been doing this forever. It's nothing new. It's just they've had a particularly good and specific thing to wind us up about. But the wind us up about COVID, and then to wind us up this re-entry anxiety piece last weekend that I saw in the paper. That really, yeah, I just couldn't believe that. Re-entry anxiety. Let's get people scared about coming out of lockdown. I mean, it's just absolutely nuts, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, thank you.